Hello. We be so proud when we get it. Y'all listen, we be so proud every time we do this when we get it and it says you're live. So, hey everybody, welcome to Monique and Sydney's Open Relationship. I am Monique.
And I am Sydney.
And we want to welcome everybody. And Daddy, how you doing?
Super fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. And I want to tell you something. I like what we're doing.
I like what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
I like that.
Do.
No, baby, I like it.
Okay, baby.
All right, then let's talk about it. What we talking about today, Daddy?
Tell them.
So today, my loves, we are talking about, are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? Are you allowing other people to destroy your relationship? And how did we come up with this one, Daddy?
I got a call from one of our wiser citizens in the community who listened to our podcast and was speaking in reference to how we stand together. And we'll just refer to him as Mr. D.
Yes.
And called and was speaking in reference to how, he and his lovely bride, the Queen, had been married for decades. So, he was saying how he believed in standing by your mate. He said, but he wasn't always that way. He said there was a time in which he would neglect his wife for his family because his family would say things to his wife that were not right. And his homeboy said to him, hey man, check it out. Who's with you through thick and thin, thin and thick, always? Is it your family, the one that's criticizing her, or is it her, the one that's getting criticized by your family?
Mm.
And at that moment, he realized that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. So we came to this conversation where we're like, other people afflicted by that same situation.
Let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
My name is Michelle. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey.
Hi, Mr. Sydney. Hi, Aunt Monique. I call you Auntie because I've met you before, so I'm going to call you Auntie Monique if that's okay.
Hey, Niecy.
I love this topic because I've been married for 9 years, almost. And at first it was very difficult with separating my husband's family from our relationship. Mm-hmm. So I love what you guys were talking about on this particular topic, and I wanted to call in.
Well, tell us your thoughts.
I think it comes with a balance. I think it's hard for new couples simply because you're leaving your family. So, before you get married, your family's really all you got. You might have your boyfriend and your girlfriend, but it's not the same as a husband and or a wife. Mm-hmm. So you pretty much lean on your family. You have to learn to lean on your spouse, I think. We can say it in the vows, but it takes time to learn how to do that. There's a time where I call my mama for everything. She was my emergency contact for everything. Now it's my husband, and the same with him. He's their son. He's the one that takes them shopping. He's the one that's been there. So I had to understand that him doing for his parents is not taking away from our marriage. It's a balance for us.
There it is.
We appreciate you, baby.
Thank you so much. And come back to Pittsburgh, Monique. I want to see you again.
All right, and if not, you come on out to Vegas. I want to see you again.
You ain't said nothing but a word. You guys, I love what you guys are doing. I love your marriage. You're so inspirational to me and my husband. And just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Thank you, sweetness. We love you back.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. We're talking about it. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship?
Are you?
And, when she said there's a balance, right? We're going to talk about it. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
I miss y'all. I know you don't remember me, Mo and Sid.
Is this my nurse?
Yes.
Right, baby. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Are y'all still on Periscope?
Huh?
Are y'all still on Periscope?
No, we're on the YouTube and Instagram.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm single. I ain't got no man, but I just wanted to tell y'all I love and miss y'all. It's Nurse Nicole from New Jersey, baby.
Look, voice recognition.
Come on now.
I love y'all.
We love you back, baby.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
honey. You know what? Take the ringer off. So, are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? And I'm gonna get it. Hey, baby, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Oh, hey, Mom, it's Sky.
Hey, Sky.
I did not think I was going to get through.
You got through, my baby. Talk to us.
Well, definitely, I definitely think people need to learn balance in their relationships, and they need to learn how to trust their significant other.
Definitely.
Well, depending on the situation, actually.
Have you ever had any experience where your mate was, I guess, not standing up for you when maybe the family was coming for you?
Yes, that's our whole relationship. We had to move to a whole nother state. Mom knows all about that. We moved to a whole nother state. His mom literally physically attacked me, and that was to the point where we had to leave.
Wow.
Wow. And what position did he take prior to you leaving?
Prior to it, before, because he knew that I would never disrespect his family or his mom or anything like that. So he knew when I called him and told him what happened, he was like, okay, I got to listen to her. I'm going to go to my mom, see what happened. She ended up telling him, well, we did fight, and it was to the point where I was like, all right, I got to get out of this city first. And then he was like, okay, maybe we should go to another state. And we got out of there.
Wow.
And now it's a lot better. So sometimes you do need to leave your family and who you're close to being near, because it will definitely cause a stir on your relationship.
You know, baby, if you don't mind, because I remember being in a situation where I saw a mother and a daughter-in-law physically fight. And I'm like, how does it get to that? Like, what happened?
Well, I'm the type of person, I don't believe in disrespecting your elders at all. So I've been with him this year, will be 10 years. We have 3 kids, 4 altogether, and his mom she did not like me, ever. Everybody knew it. She would always disrespect me. I would leave it alone, let it go, let him deal with his family, until it got to the point where I was dropping our daughter off. She knew I was dropping her off, and that was just a day where everything, all hell broke loose, I would say. Mm-hmm. And it was bad.
How is it now? How long has that been?
That was 2 years ago. Now I would say everything's a lot better, because sometimes you need to give people space and time. Because since we left, she knows now to respect me. So we're in a lot better space. So time heals wounds. It does. Sometimes you need to let them go through what it is that they need to go through, and just pray for them. Pray for them.
We appreciate the call.
Love you, baby.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, my baby. We're talking about it, y'all. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship?
And she gave a lot of good insight on what it is to be in that position, but at the same time take a mature position. We don't know the dynamics of what made them have a fight, but it sounded like even though they did, she looked at it for what it was, understood that that was his mom first before it was her boyfriend, so had empathy for her, but realized that, they had to bounce before it would become even more problematic than it was, and then the proverbial absence making the heart grow fonder, where she understood that through her son making that change, that she would have to make some changes in order to still be in a position where she would have that respect from her son.
But, for a second, if we could talk to the mothers, because there are some mothers that put their daughter-in-laws through this unnecessary tension, where it's like, baby, that's now that woman's husband. And they make their choices and decisions together. So I never understood that type of mother-in-law, where she got so involved where you're trying to make decisions about your son's household. Behave yourself. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? Let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from? Hello? All right, y'all, we're going to keep on talking on it. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship?
Here's the call.
There's a call, Daddy. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Hey, Auntie, and Uncle. This is Peaches and Reva.
Hey,
Hey.
Peach. Hey, Reed.
How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
This
How
is
you
a
doing?
fantastic topic. This really is. As you know, I'm gay, and my family was totally against Peaches and I. Totally. They were more against me than anything else. And it was really bad for a long time. You know, but they know that I'm rebellious, and I couldn't care less what they say. You know, but it was to the point where they didn't even want me to take care of Mommy when she had Alzheimer's and she was dying of it. But they didn't help. I had one sister that helped out and one niece. The rest of them just lived their lives. I'm the last out of 8. And to show you the reason why I stood by Peaches, when I was laying in bed talking to her, she had her arm around me and we're talking about Mommy, and we just found out about it and everything. I just started crying. She got out of bed. She got up. She got on the phone. She called her job and said, "Yeah, listen, my wife needs me. I'm not going to be in. I don't know when I'm going to come back." She hung up the phone and got back in the bed, and she held me. She quit her job that day and stayed home with me for 3.5 years, helping me take care of Mommy. When Mommy finally passed away, Mommy passed away on Peach's mother's birthday. So she ran to the hospital going, "Oh, my God, are you okay?" And I ran to her going, "Oh, my God, are you okay?" And we just started laughing. I was like, "Oh, my God, you worried about me and I'm worried about you." I said, "I know." They were my sisters and brothers. 2 of them, the main 2 who started that whole thing, weren't even at the hospital. Never came to see Mommy in the hospital. The 3.5 weeks that I slept on the cot next to Mommy, they never came to the hospital. They didn't come to, when I moved her out of her house and into our building right above me, they never came to the building. They barely even came to her house. When she died and we had a memorial, they didn't come to that. I couldn't care less about people like that. I don't care if you say that we share the same blood. That doesn't matter to me, because that blood should have mattered when it came to the woman who gave birth to you and you didn't.
Wow.
That is why I stick by Peaches. And 25 years later,
Come
we're
on.
still together.
There it is.
Come on,
25
baby.
years later. She was there when my mother died, when my father died, when my mother was screaming and hollering. Peaches was the only one who can calm her down. My mother gave her car to Peaches instead of her own 7 children who were alive. And they were pissed about that. Because how could you give your car to somebody who wasn't family? She is family. She's more family than any of you.
Well, if
So
they're
I
listening to
understand
the
this.
show right now, they know damn well you mean it.
They know damn well. But they knew then that you meant it.
We got our tickets for the Mother's Day, and we are going to see you there.
Love you, babies.
Take
We love
it.
you guys.
Love you,
Auntie
Pete.
Robin.
Love you, baby.
Bye-bye.
Come on, y'all. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? And it's easy to happen. It is so easy to happen because when the one caller said, when you first get married, you lean on your family for everything. So something going wrong, where you going to run to? Your mommy, your daddy. Instead of your family saying, or your mommy and daddy saying, "Listen, baby, y'all got to work that out.
Gotta work it out.
Got to work it out." Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Hi, Mom.
Hey, baby.
I get to hear my favorite celebrity voice for live. It's Joan. I'm calling from Florida.
Hey, Joan.
But you can call me V.
Whatever
So
you
what's
like,
up?
baby. Talk to us.
With your relationship topic, I'm going to talk about it in 2 perspectives. I think you're addressing as in being a relationship sexually with someone. From life experience, not that I've been sexually involved with anybody because I was raped, but that's a different story. But what I've seen in life, I get to, as a woman point of view, is that we take the help where we get it and not to be a fool, not to get our mind programmed to be attached to certain things where we're going to be heartbroken. What Tina Turner said, what love got to do with it? Who who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? So that's what I learned on life's journey. Let's say if you're a husband and wife, girlfriend and boyfriend, not to be attached, because we see this happen all the time. So that's one thing. As a family, from my abusive situation, I realized that family is sometimes water is thicker than blood, and strangers are better than your actual family. So we got to do what we got to do. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to protect our heart. We have to look out for our own well-being. Lest we're the one that's going to wind up collapsing. Who knows?
But
maybe that was the end of us.
Let me ask you this. Just from
we need to look to our mother Tina Turner. What love got to do with it?
Well, but let me ask you this, V. How will you ever really know if you've experienced true love if you stay in a space of I just got to look out for me, and what's love got to do with it? Now, I understand the position. I do. But how do we ever find out what true love is if we keep our guard up?
That's a good question that I can't answer more, because being abused, we tend to do that. We want to protect ourselves. I wouldn't know how to answer that. I honest to God don't.
That's right.
Because I'm so protective of me right now for what I've been through. And I'm talking about especially from every angle, with family, from parents and friends and everything. I mean, I don't know who loves me. I don't know who to trust. And I don't know who is there for me. So, because if somebody loves you, they won't abuse you. They won't hurt you.
Let me ask you a question.
Where you would collapse.
When you were speaking about, I guess, the abuse and things of that nature, was it long-term abuse that you dealt with?
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I ask you, was it long-term abuse, because when you said, who will love you, you got to think to yourself, is subscribing to long-term abuse you loving yourself? So the challenge is, first, it would seem to love yourself and find a way to love you first, so that you are able to receive love that somebody else is giving you. Because the moment you start to grasp that what it is that they're giving you is not love, is the moment that you insert the love for yourself to make arrangements to, at the very least, show you how much you love you by not being in that relationship. Though that's a little bit different from what it is that we were talking about. Wanted to try to address you specifically, because where we're coming from right now is couples who believe in one another, have a healthy relationship, and are trying to build on that. And despite the fact that others who may be close to them are intermingling or saying things that may not be beneficial, finding a way to keep your relationship strong because it's your relationship with your mate, and keeping other people at bay, so that at some point there is a certain understanding that's had, like our previous callers have spoken about. So what you said makes sense, but the first and foremost, in order to be able to trust others, is you trusting yourself. And it's a challenge to trust yourself if you've allowed yourself to be in a situation for long periods of time dealing with things that you know you do not deserve. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, Daddy, and I know I don't want us to go off topic, but I want to say to you, V, thank you for your transparency, sister, for being so open and honest. But I want to let you know I understand exactly where you're coming from. I don't want you to think that, not that you do, but some of us think that our feelings are unique. And why are we feeling that way? So I understand it when you say, I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to believe in, because I've been that woman. But what happened was, when I had to have that real conversation that my husband had to have with me and say, Mama, when did that happen? And I had to really open up and have some hard conversations. And he said, either you can be in prison with that for the rest of your life, or either you can let life happen in a beautiful way. It's up to you. So I want you to know, sister, I've been in that space. But I want you to also know this space exists. So don't give up, baby. Don't put, I would hope that you wouldn't put yourself in a space to say, listen, I'm going to shut it down. Because I also know 80-year-old women that made that choice and they died bitter, lonely, miserable, because they really chose to shut it down from something that happened when they were a little girl or a teenager or whatever it was.
And by giving up on others, you're not addressing the wealth of strength that you have, because now you're closing yourself out. You don't understand how ingenuitive, how intelligent, how you deserve to have certain things. And you cannot have success without failure. So all of the situations that you've experienced that seemed as if they were detrimental, look at them as if they were beneficial, because now you know what you don't like. Now you know what you won't put up with. And had you not had those experiences, you might not be as laser focused in, because you know more now about relationships. As they say, you learn more from your failures than your successes. And it's truly not a failure. It's just part of the journey in life. If you keep moving forward, watch what happens with a positive outlook on yourself, and understand that you deserve what it is that you're supposed to have. And when you believe that you don't, you won't get it. But when you believe that you do, when you least expect it, then it will happen. It took us 38 years to find each other, but we were best friends since we were 14.
Let me say one thing and let me go so the next caller can give their point. The topic that you addressed, the question is, T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes, did a movie, what is the name of the movie called? With Woman That Want Loose. The Woman That Want Loose movie?
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, where the mother and her boyfriend, I think that's the situation, that's the topic you're addressing. But I think it's going to also incorporate my topic. Okay, in The Woman That Want Loose, the woman's daughter is now in between the mother and her boyfriend's relationship, right? When she addressed her mom about what her boyfriend did to her, and the mom said, you're lying on my boyfriend, it's your period. And what did the mom do? The mom pushed out the daughter and said, you're not going to come between me and my crackhead man. That's not your daddy. That's what the mom did to the daughter. And it was until the day the boyfriend died, or before the boyfriend died, he said, baby, I'm sorry, your daughter was not lying. And I think that's the topic you're talking about, where the little girl was trying to get in the mom's relationship. And that's the thing I can't understand about us women. Why do we always doubt someone? It doesn't have to be our child. Look at recently, Vanessa Long with Eddie Long. Vanessa Long lashed out with media and said the boys need to stop lying on her husband. They come to the church having their problems, and her husband mentor them and help them with their problem. Don't lie on my husband. So the boy was a problem between Vanessa Long and her husband's situation with the big uproar. And I think that's the topic that you're addressing, which incorporates what I'm saying. So it's not what do we do then?
Gotcha. We appreciate you calling in.
We love you, my baby. We love you, honey.
With everything that we discussed, the first rule of logic is there's no one rule that applies to every situation. So when you hear people saying it's so easy, we can do this, you can lose weight, you can do this, you can do this so easy. When it's meaningful, it's a challenge. So everything that we're discussing, it's not a quick fix, it's a challenge. So we're not talking about one situation, we're speaking about a general situation where perhaps you can identify with it. And there's not one blanket answer that is specific to all of those situations, other than we have to be conscious of what it is that we're doing and how we're working. And when things are going against us, how do we deal with it? And are we the antagonist to the disruption in the environment? Are we the mothers? Are we the brothers? Are we the individuals getting involved in a relationship that has nothing to do with us? And ask ourselves, would we want that same thing done if we on the flip side of things?
Yo, we are discussing, are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? And I know when when Sid and I first got together, when I tell y'all, my family was off the chain. They was off the chain. And normally, in the prior relationships, if they were out of order or out of line, it was never addressed. It was never dealt with. It was just what it was. So when Sid and I got together, it was different. And I did have to make a decision. I had to make a choice. And not based off of my husband saying, you've got to make a choice. Because for years, it was my husband saying, Mama, almost, I know, but deal with it. Till it got to a space where he said, whatever decision you make, I will support it. And they got so out of order and out of line, I had to make a decision to walk away. Because I knew what I had and what I have, I had never experienced it before. And I liked and loved how it was making me feel. So I had to make some choices to say, do you want to continue to feel this way? Or do you want to continue to feel that way? So for some of you babies out there, when you say you have to find a balance, you do have to find a balance. And sometimes the balance is, or was for me, I've got to walk completely away. Because with the disrespect, with the, just it was so blatant and so ugly. I never one time regretted making the decisions and choices that I had to make when it came to my biological family.
And again, that was her situation. You have to sometimes, as she did, go through a litany of things in order to make it right. Because you may be able to have the conversation with the person in a way in which you thought you couldn't have, and you tell them how this is making you feel. And a technique that I always try to use with someone to better relate to them is letting them sit in your shoes and you sit in their shoes. Mm. And if you are able to do that and they're able to suspend their disbelief and be you momentarily, which can happen, you have a better chance of connecting with people. And in the situation with your mom and them, they were not able to suspend their disbelief
ever
to sit in your seat and understand. But initially, it is like our caller said earlier, you have to grow through it. Yes. To understand what it is that you're seeing, because there are people who are very territorial when it comes to relationships. In my mind, and one of the greatest compliments that I've gotten from women who were fans of Monique, and or I say our extended family of Monique, is you let her do her thing, she does her thing, you let her enjoy the encounters, the people that are interacting with her, and you kind of stay back because I've always seen this part of her life. I remember in 10th grade when she says, one day we're going to be famous. And we're 14, 15 years old. So to see the appreciation that people have for her, you want to stand back and allow the accolades, the love that's mutually exchanged to be given. But there's a lot of people that don't understand and have a difficulty with saying, if somebody else loves my friend, if somebody else loves my child, if somebody else loves my mama, if somebody else loves my brother, it's that much easier for me to love them too. As opposed to thinking that somehow love is like money, and if you give her 50 cents out of your dollar, now you only gonna have a quarter to give me. It's not that situation, but people are so territorial, and it's really innocent. It's really innocent. They want your love, but they don't know how to say it. And if we can take the time to have a real conversation with them, we'd be surprised what can take place.
And we're going to go to the lines, but while we're having this conversation, I remember one time my mother said to me, Monique, you've given Sydney all the power. And I said, ma'am, you've given him all the power. And I was getting ready to get offended. And I was getting ready to be like, what you? And I had to think about what she said. And I said, you know what, Mommy? I understand why you would say that. Because what you've never seen and what you've never done was given a black man any respect. So I understand why what you think is power, it is me respecting my husband. And though my mother and father were married for 50 years, my mother never had a great respect for her husband. So there are a lot of things that pull our relationships apart simply because we've not even seen it to know what it looks like. So for my mother, she's never seen a woman respect a black man. Not her mother, not any of her sisters. She's never seen it. So when she saw it in her daughter, she thought, you're giving up your power. So had I bought into that, imagine I'd probably be by my damn self. Let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
I had to call back, Aunt Monique. I'm sorry, I know you talked to me already, but y'all got into some things that made me think about some other things I want to tell you as far as people trying to get involved. And it was something Uncle said that made me have to call back on the way to get back from school. Okay, this is Michelle from Pittsburgh again. He was talking about, as I was leaving out the door, he was talking about how people sometimes play on like the emotion and are territorial about people in their family. Well, we are also a blended family. So that plays a lot with the child's mother and how we had to grow into, because at first, when it came to our son, she was very territorial. Nothing I said mattered, nothing I wanted to do with him mattered. It was very like, this is my child, that's your wife. And I think it took her a while to see, well, this woman loves my son as much as her husband loves my son, as my baby's dad loves my son, and she would do nothing to hurt him. But I think that's very important because some people are very territorial about their family members. And you're right, Monique, you have to sometimes cut certain people off. We had to do that as well. Some people don't come around anymore because they couldn't accept me and they couldn't accept him. If you can't accept my husband, you can't roll with me, and vice versa.
And let me ask you, so now are you and your child's mom, are y'all cool?
We are cool. It's funny that you say that because we've come so far that last Thanksgiving we did our first time frying a turkey. She called my son's phone. She said, tell Mom Michelle to send me some turkey. And that might not mean a lot to nobody else, but that meant the world to me, because that let me know, okay, we cool. If I bake something or if I cook something I know she's going to like, I send it home with them. You know, we've come to a great understanding. I won't say we friends, but we ain't enemies.
And here's another piece too. Sometimes things don't come easy because you respect them more when they are a challenge. It's kind of like it would be odd for a woman who just met you to refer to you as mama as it pertains to their son.
Yes,
but the fact that
right.
But the fact that you earn their respect is almost the equivalent of why we tell our children, no, that wasn't right, so that when you tell them that it is right, they never feel like, are you just telling me that to tell me that? You know she's not saying that to you and calling you mama because she pretending like she respects you. You know.
You know what I had to understand, Uncle Sid, Aunt Monique, and it took me a long time to get this, because I didn't become a parent until I became a step parent. I don't have any biological children. So at first it was like, wow, you know, I came in so nice and sweet and polite, but she had to see my motives, because we don't want to admit it, but there are real evil stepmothers out there in the world.
Yes,
So she had to see, am I going to nurture the relationship with his father, or try to tear it apart? Because they were very close when I came in. I've done nothing but nurture that. Am I going to try to take her son from her and tear him away from her, or nurture that relationship? I've never said a bad word about his mother around him, even though I'm sure it's not always been the opposite. So once she seen what type of woman I was, that's what it was. But I got to ask you guys a marriage question before I hang up. You guys always talk about how you guys were friends before you got married. And I love that, because so were me and my husband. We didn't date for 4 or 5 years before we even went on our first date. We were just friends. He had girlfriends. I had a man. He was with baby mama. Like, it was like that. Do you feel like when you have your roughest times that it takes the friendship to get you through? Because I feel like that's what helps us. But I'm like, well, maybe that's not the right thing to say, right? I feel like we have to go back to step 1 sometimes to get back to step 10. How do you guys resolve issues when you have issues in your marriage? I know it's a little off topic, but I want to ask you, because I never get to call. I'm always working at this time, but I was off today, so I'm going to call. So how do you guys resolve, like if you have a big fight, how do you resolve it? How do you move forward?
How we have in the past, when it was early on, when you would say a big fight, because our big fights are kind of funny in the sense that the only one that's hot is the one that is with the pretty dress on, okay? Because she's a Sagittarian. She's fire.
I'm a Scorpio. I get it.
Right? And the Libra in me likes diplomacy. I don't like to have fights and conflict.
I'm married to a Libra.
Okay? So it's like, and I grew up around a Sag dad who was Volcano Vernon. Okay? He stayed on hot. So I say that to answer your question, you are speaking like someone who was a veteran of a long-term relationship, because Gene and Angie, okay, have to sometimes come in between Sydney and Monique, because we would have to have conversations, say, now what would you say to me if we was just going together, or we were just like we were homeboys and homegirls, and somebody came to me like you came to me, what would you say to me about how to handle them? And then I say, now go. And then your reply would be something along the lines of,
well, can I say it?
Say it. Say it.
I want to know.
Say it.
Like I want to know.
It's though, but Like, it's so.
She would say, "Fuck that bitch."
Okay.
That's what she would say.
Okay.
That's what she would say.
Okay, I would say that.
Keep it real,
I would say that.
She hemming and humming. Go ahead.
Here's the crazy shit, okay? So we just had this conversation earlier, and I was like, I had said something, but I said, that's for me talking to my best friend. I'm not talking to my husband right now.
Right. So sometimes the friendship is what is the counselors for the marriage.
Yeah.
And the friendship, because again, this was my best friend, my sister, my fiance, my wife, and she my freak. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. Okay.
So before I let you go, your wife. Let me tell you something. I know we get a little off topic, but the reason I gotta suck a little bit more, because your wife told me when she came to Pittsburgh. And my husband fell in love with her when she said, he said, now let me tell you something. When you suck a little thing, it keep you healthy. He said, I've been telling her that for years.
Come on now.
And now because of her,
come on.
Every time he want a little say, he say, well, you know, Aunt Monique said keep you healthy.
Bam.
Let me ask you a question. Are you healthy?
As a horse.
Come on, yeah.
The last time you seen me.
We love you, baby. Come on, y'all. How beautiful. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? And when I hear that, sister, I hear the joy in her.
Right.
I hear the love in her. And to also hear the fight in her because she wasn't willing to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those relationships, y'all, they can break up relationships too. The baby's mama or the baby's daddy, because the other person can say, you know what, listen, I can't do this. So to hear her fight in her. And she said, when she called me mama, she like, y'all mean I mean nothing to y'all.
Right.
But to even hear that. So are you allowing others to destroy your relationship, or are you willing to stay in there and fight for it when you know it's good? Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Hey, Mo, this is Bossy. I love you and Sydney so much. I did make it to the residency Valentine's Day weekend. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
I am actually married to a Jamaican man, and his mother is here in the States with us. She doesn't live with us, though. They have a very different dynamic. There has been a rift. I've remained, for a very long time, respectful to her. And she has ways. She's a negative person. And she feels entitled to her son. And she is to a degree. And I never feel intimidated by her in any capacity. However, there was at one point infidelity in the relationship, and she had established a relationship with the other woman. And it was at that point that I went on and had words with her. And I didn't curse her, but I did tell her that I didn't appreciate who she was, how she acted, or how she did these things with me. Now, we've been in a relationship for 15 years, married for 5.
Okay.
And so I'm not new to this. We've been doing this. I've made tremendous amount of sacrifices to try and accommodate her, encourage her, open businesses for her to ensure her success. She was undocumented previously, so she was getting paid under the table, so we were finding avenues for her to have financial security. After everything came to a head with the other person involved and my husband made a choice, he chose me. However, she didn't. And so she continued to have a relationship with the other person and continued, they were in business together, etc., and it was a mess. And when I realized that after my husband had requested that she sever ties with that person and she decided to continue to do so, I I severed ties with her because friend of my enemy is my enemy.
Got you.
And so since then, my husband has distanced himself from his mother and his other relative that's here, his sibling. He had distanced himself, and it had been about 2 years since I had spoken with him. I told him that she wasn't welcomed. I wished her success so that, I wouldn't have to take care of you in the future. And it hurt him. And it was sometime later he had told me that he felt like his mother was dead and she wasn't. She ended up getting very sick and really needed a family around to support. At one point he was out of town. She needed rides to the doctors. He had to get some of his male friends to assist because he knew not to ask me. And so I in turn reached out because my husband, through it all, my mother, who now lives with us, was very supportive of our relationship through it all. She never took sides through the whole time. She was praying for us, sending scriptures, sending encouraging words, marriage help books, love language books, etc. She was very supportive. She never chose a side. She just wanted the success for the marriage. And so I was, because of how he gave to my mother, it put a conviction on my heart that I wanted the same for him.
We appreciate that call.
Thank you, baby.
Very much.
Thank you so much. I love y'all.
We love
How
you back.
beautiful.
And when you're in a situation as she is and was, when you have obviously a mom that is experienced enough to stay neutral in a relationship, because when you live long enough, you know challenges happen in the relationship. And it's almost a thing where for his mom, or for the gentleman she was married to disconnect with his mom in that way is him also not realizing that she was just trying to take his side and went overboard because she couldn't tell him the real. And sometimes in the midst of that, understanding that, because this is a real challenge. Somebody is now bought into somebody that you bought into that you shouldn't have been buying into, but they're buying into them because they feel as if they're supporting you as opposed to supporting what's right. And subsequently, they get put on the outside because when reality sets in, when the ether is off and you say, what's the best way for me to go? It's kind of like when you hear from the old school, listen, if you see a man and a woman having a fist fight, old school people would say, don't you go hitting a guy, having a fight with him. You better call somebody, at best break it up, because if you get the beating on him, they'll get together and you'll go to jail.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And in this situation, they got back together and she was sent away because the loyalty wasn't to what was right. It was to a person, even though they were wrong.
And just to, I don't know if she was or she wasn't, but you have to ask yourself, was that young man's mother married? Because if this is a single woman, and we got to understand, mothers are still women. They're still women. And some of those women are scarred, and they want to stay scarred. Some of those women are bitter, and they want to stay bitter. Some of those women are miserable, and they want to stay miserable. So they get, I don't want to say they get off on it, but it's like, listen, when they say misery loves company, I'll be damned if you're going to have a happy marriage.
And then if your mom is like her mom was, who was none of the negatives and all of the positives, the crazy thing about, as we were talking about last week with karma, what happens is it's now on you to be able to be bigger than the situation because you've been given the gift of someone who's logical, someone who's fair, and is someone who's on the side of you both because she's not taking a side against either one of you, because she's been given the gift of the knowledge that in relationships they can go sideways. This is just a riff. This is just a moment. But you have those individuals that we haven't spoke about, that part of the reason why people get into your relationship is because you always tell the bad parts about your relationship. So now this person has taken a side against your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, because now you've said something about them repetitively. All they hear is the negative. They don't hear the positive. So now what do you expect them to get? And that's why some of the things that happen in your relationship, when you have a good relationship, understand negative things are going to happen. But that's why you work those out amongst you. Because if you give people the play-by-play in your relationship, the old saying goes, it takes 7 to 9 positive thoughts to erase one negative thought. But it takes one negative thought to erase the same 7 to 9 positive thoughts if you get that on the back end. So people are going to hear the negatives before they hear the positives.
Come on, y'all. Are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Oh my God, yes, Monique.
Hey, baby.
Crystal Jackson. I'm calling from West Virginia. I have been a fan of yours since Fat Girl.
Wow, thank you, sis.
Yes, I called in a few weeks ago. Almost got through for your Wendy Williams show, and I wanted to make a comment about that since it's pertaining to a relationship, if that's okay.
That's fine, baby.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that a lot of people, I feel like, pressuring her to come out with a statement, whatever. And, you know, I totally agree with you. That chick just needs a hug. I met her once. She offered a hug to me, but it was a meet and greet. And I felt too grimy and sweaty from just getting around all the people. I didn't want to hug her then, but if I had the chance to do it again, I would hug her this time. But I just wanted to say, like, if she's in business with this man, she can't, like, go and slander his name. And also, according to the blog, there's rumors that she could be in a book deal, and that's when she'll probably spill all the information about her relationship and, you know, what she thought when people were going around saying what they said about her and her man. But, you know, everybody's relationship is its own, and I don't think it's fair for us to judge or, you know, for us to say what it should be or what it shouldn't be, because I totally agree that there's all sorts of relationships, and if it was an agreement back in the day that went sour, then that's what it is now.
You know, for us, we don't want nothing but the best for our sister and our brother. And like we said earlier, in relationships, you go through what you go through. You know, and thank you so much, my baby. There was a couple at the show, right? And they had been married for 53 years. So y'all know I am a comedian. That's what I do. So while I'm on stage, and this couple was beautiful, right? And they with their son who was 52 years old. So while I'm on stage, I said, let's just say his name was Mr. Paul. I said, Mr. Paul, I know in them 53 years, you done got some different kind of pussy. His wife stood up and slapped me 5 in the air. I said, I know it was a bitch on the job that was just smelling real good with that perfume. She grabbed my hand and said, talk about it, Monique. And they've been married for 53 years. And we're having a good time and having fun. But I said, now, wait a minute, Miss Brenda. You wasn't no short of getting your ass tapped too. Then he said, I need a drink now. So when you hear people say, oh, leave him. Oh, leave her. Oh, y'all listen.
They don't understand relationships.
They don't. And like I said, Daddy, we don't do till death do us part. It's till just we get mad. I am mad today, so damn it, this thing has come to and who is having the conversations with us to say, is it worth fighting for? Is it worth fighting for?
And some good can come out of all of this for Wendy because perhaps kind of like the Christmas special with Scrooge. Scrooge didn't know that he was messed up until the Ghost of Christmas Past, Future, and all of them came through. So maybe the shows of the past, present, and the future will come up in her mind where there was a level of privacy that she invaded of others, and now is going through what it feels like to be on the other side and deal with people trying to find out more than she's willing to give. And perhaps this may make her a different person because, in the movies, I think just like in real life, there's a level of appreciation you have for folks who have redeemable qualities about them. And perhaps this is the moment in which she can redeem herself, and this is really, a blessing in disguise in terms of her having an opportunity to have a personality makeover.
Daddy, I really enjoyed this show because when you think about it, are you allowing others to destroy your relationship? And I've known relationships, and we've seen or heard about relationships that were physical. And there was physical abuse involved. And then you hear those two people saying, we're going to work it out. We're going to go get some help. I'm going to find out why I'm being abusive, and I'm going to find out why I'm accepting it. But we're going to go and we're going to fight for it. And you'll hear people say, girl, no. It's like, listen, in my humble opinion, when you have two people saying, without other people doing this, we want to fight for it. We want to try to make this thing work. Be careful when you take your vows. Be careful when you go all the way through with it. Because really understand what you're saying. I know the first two times I didn't. So I ain't judging. I'm just
saying.
I'm just saying.
Want to take one more call up?
Let's do it, my daddy. Hey, you on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Hi, this is Tashira. Oh my God.
Hey, boo.
Hi, Monique. First of all, I would love to just say, I am 32 years old, and I grew up watching you, and I also am a little juicy, and I just thank you because watching you, you gave me so much confidence. You let me know that just because you big, don't mean you can't get no, you know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And I appreciate that because when you gave me that confidence, baby,
come on,
up with it. But to answer your question, I haven't allowed others to do it, but I did allow myself to get destroyed in being in a relationship.
Come on.
And I'm working on that now, and that I don't have to get back in that type of situation no more, because sometimes we do have to wake up. In my opinion, I had to wake up and realize that I was losing myself in someone who didn't give a D about me. So I'm just talking on the other end, and I'm talking on self-preservation.
Come on.
So you can have something in life for the next person that's right for you. I didn't want to burn myself out.
There you go.
And also, you gave me that confidence to you and Mr. Sydney. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
I watch you and her, and I'm learning how to be a woman through you being a man and a great man and a great husband to Monique. And I thank y'all for that.
Thank you, my baby.
Dad. I thank y'all.
We appreciate it.
We love you, little sister.
Love y'all too. Thank y'all.
Okay, my baby. Oh, Daddy. We was trying to hold on.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull us back in.
Y'all, it is that time. It is that time, my daddy.
It's that time.
We want to thank y'all, babies. We want to thank y'all for tuning in, giving us your ears, your heart, because you could have been anywhere else. And we hope we get a chance to see y'all over in Vegas, and Monique does Vegas. The residency has been extended, so come on over and laugh and love with us.
Or the Apollo.
The Apollo, May the 11th, Mother's Day, y'all. Y'all know every year we do that. That's our annual show. Chris Woods, we love you, brother. And like we always say, the mind is like a parachute.
It is no good unless it's open.
We love y'all.
For free.
Mwah. Thank you, my babies. I can't say nothing.